Hello and good afternoon to everyone from around the world joining us today here at the St. Lucia campus of the University of Queensland in Brisbane, Australia. My name is Dion and I'm a Singaporean student studying a Masters of International Relations. With me today are several international student ambassadors and UQ staff members. To start off, we've got
Hi, I'm Aska. I'm from Indonesia. I'm studying public relations.
Hi, I'm Shane. I'm from India and I'm studying a Bachelor's of Science, majoring in geology.
Hi, I'm Clara. I'm from China. I'm studying a Bachelor of Advanced Science, majoring in genetics.
Hey everyone, I'm Wawan. I'm from China too, and I'm doing communication.
Hello everyone, I'm Hassan. I'm from Pakistan and I'm studying Bachelor's of Mechanical Engineering.
And we've got Catherine here from Student Services who will share with us about the different kinds of support UQ provides to international students like yourself and us. And of course, to start off and to help us get to know you, there are a few ways that you can interact with us today. Now, if you look at the top of your screen, see that Q&A button? Now, that's the best way for you to have a chat with us on any questions, any burning topics that you might want to find out today. So throughout the course of today, please feel free to type in any questions that you have in there today, and we'll try our best to answer them as best as we can. And if not, we will definitely get back to you in the next couple of days. And to start off proper, we also have a few polls today to help us get to know you. So without further ado, our first poll today is basically on where in the world are you joining us from today?
So, as we can see, most of you are actually watching us from on your couch at home, and also a lot of you are actually watching us at home at work. So, yay! Okay. So, do you want to?
So, Clara, could you tell us about some of the poll results? Great. Right. Now that we have an idea as to where everyone's from, let's have a chat about what student life means to you. One, I understand that you are pretty involved in student life in UQ. Could you tell us about some of the different avenues that students at UQ can actually get busy with?
Yeah, definitely. To me, student life is definitely not only about academic life. It's so much more about getting involved in the community. So I would say if you're coming to UQ, or no matter where you're going, I would definitely encourage you to come to UQ though. But when you come to UQ, do have a look at our more than 200 clubs and societies offered. You can definitely find something that you're interested in. If you're interested in dancing, singing, you can definitely find something that you like. If you're into like manga, anime, or into Pokemon Go, you can definitely find something that's relevant. If not, I always tell my friends who seems to struggling with finding a community, you could even create your own community, create your own club on campus, and you can find all your friends who are like-minded. So that's definitely one of the best venue you could go. And there's so many employability help. There's an employability center as well. We'll cover that a little bit more. And I would say concerning about accommodation is definitely one of the best ways for you to find friends when you first come here. Because it may not be so easy to get out of your comfort zone when you first come here, but living in a shared accommodation, you will find your closest friend right when you're around. So that's my answer for this.
Okay. Now, what are some other areas that you guys are involved in as well? What things do you do, be it within UQ or outside of UQ?
Okay, for me, it's more to the living my hobby. So my hobby is singing and videography. And then aside from that, I do singing, I do performance in and out UQ. And then I also do many volunteering, but we'll come back to the volunteering topic later. So yeah, that's probably for me. How about you guys?
For me, UQ has given me many opportunities to explore what I love. So I love geology, like I said, I'm studying that. And so I've got opportunities to teach it and to also do research in it. And we'll come back to that in employment.
Yeah. Okay, so One, and also as Tara and Shane just gave us a brief introduction on the diverse communities we have here. In fact, we just got a question from Ani. So her question is, do we have any Muslim communities here? So
Yes, I can answer that. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. I'm a Muslim, and I really feel like welcome here. I actually feel like home in Brisbane as in general, because most they celebrate everything first of all, and then in UK you don't have to worry. They have their own prayer room, the multi-faith chaplaincy, and then you can easily just get access from there. And then they also gonna have like weekly events. You can enroll to the community, and also during the Hari Raya, like a big day such as Eid Fitr or another celebration. They also like held the Eid prayer on campus, so you don't have to worry.
And I think I've mentioned there are a couple of Muslim society as well. There's Muslim Association, then there's a Muslim Association for Girls only, I think it's the UK Muslim.
Yeah.
And most of all, I think I'd like to mention is UK itself. It celebrates different diversity, and every year we have this Ramadan iftar, the main iftar, which is hosted by UK, and I think it's a pretty good thing to have it at campus.
yeah, so do we have any halal food stores at UK?
Yeah,
Yeah,
kebab.
No.
Yeah, but I think
Majority of
the UKU main
factories
factory,
are
yeah, they serve halal food.
and even the outlets as well, who's Mandong, if they're Mexican or whatever, they're all halal, except for a couple. You just have to ask, but I think majority of them are halal.
And I hear that if you prefer to bring your own food, there's always microwaves to heat up your food.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, of
But I'm
course.
lazy though.
Yeah.
And we've also got a few questions regarding transport around UQ. So how do we all get to UQ? So starting with me, I actually live in the cities, and there are two major bus stops on campus. So every day I catch a bus to come to UQ, and it takes like maximum 20 minutes for me to get here. So it's very convenient. What about everyone else? Do you want to
I walk. I live a kilometer and a half from campus, and sometimes if I'm lazy in the morning and I'm about to miss my lecture, I catch the bus. So yeah, normally walk.
So I basically live in the St. Lucia area, which is, where the school is allocated. So I usually walk for like 5 minutes to school. That's pretty easy. And if you find a student accommodation, that's almost the same distance to school. So you can just wake up at 7:50 and catch your 8 o'clock class.
I can't believe.
Actually, I guess in terms of accessibility, we have two major bus stops, as you mentioned. There's a ferry stop as well. So if you want to catch a ferry, you can to UQ. It's, I think, pretty good. If you have time, it takes a bit more time than the bus, but it's if you want joyride and want to enjoy the outlook of Brisbane, it's pretty good.
So you can be a tourist every day.
Yeah.
I think that's actually the most awesome way to get to campus. I mean, who has ever heard of catching a ferry to uni before?
Nah. It's like a little voyage.
So we have also got a lot of questions regarding to accommodation.
All right, I think that's our cue to move on next to accommodation. So let's start off with the next poll on accommodation.
Okay, so the question we had was what accommodation options are most of you considering? So the majority of you are actually thinking of renting a room or apartment off campus, and also 20% of you are actually considering living in a residential college on campus, and the rest of you are thinking of staying in student-only accommodation or stay with friends or family. So personally, I stayed in a residential college for the first 2 years of my studies here, and there are 2 colleges in total on campus. 3 of them are female only, 2 of them are male only, and the rest are co-ed. So I stayed in a girls only college, and there I got to make a lot of friends who were studying different degrees and had different hobbies, and it was just a great way to settle in when you first came to Australia and you're like exposed to all of this like uncertainty in the new environment. What about the rest of you?
I live in a shared house, so share with other students. And I live in St. Lucia, so it's basically in St. Lucia, it's all students. So if you move in a house with even with people you don't know, like most of them students, so yeah, I think it's good to make friends from UQ, different backgrounds, I guess. And it depends on the your budget as well. So you can go to student accommodation if you want, or you can share a house. It's up to your budget, basically.
Okay, I would just point out a few differences between living on campus and sharing a house outside. Usually, if you're more capable of taking care of yourselves, for example, cooking, making your own bed and cleaning and stuff, then probably you can consider, renting a house with friends and stuff. That's provided that you are capable of settling in when you first arrive in a new environment. Because I used to live abroad for quite a long time, that wasn't a big issue for me. But if you just started and then your parents are also a little bit worried about you, I would definitely recommend to, start with student accommodation for like 1 semester or a year. There are a lot of plans that you could choose from, and then go out and live with friends. That's probably a lot of people's choices nowadays. Yeah.
And I hear there's something called student purpose accommodation. Has anyone ever lived in one of those kinds of accommodation before?
Oh, like Urbanus?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It's me. Yeah, I currently live in Urbanus, and well, if you compare it to the rent price, the rent fee, it's definitely one of the expensive ones, because most of the student accommodations are located in the city center. Mine is located in South Bank, which is mainly the tourist attraction area and then like a fancy restaurant area. So yeah, the rent is, you can check on their website as well. But the thing that I like about student accommodation is like they have different activities for us every day. And they also try to make us more disciplined by they held this clean kitchen competition, and then they offer like a prize for us, like a voucher and stuff. And it's actually encouraging because some of us, a bit dirtier than the rest of us. But yeah, that can be like a good motivation.
And a lot of times, basically, what happens is once you live in a student accommodation, the friends you make there, most of them after a year or 6 months, they move out together and find their accommodation for themselves afterwards, and they rent an apartment for themselves, whatever.
So it sounds like there's definitely a lot to weigh up, be it whether are you a new student or a current student in terms of accommodation, and there's definitely so much to consider. So I'm now going to ask Catherine to talk to us about the options that UQ offers and how can student services assist UQ students in finding an option that suits their budget and their needs. Catherine?
Awesome. Hi everyone, so I'm Catherine. I'm one of the student advisors in student services. I think these guys have pretty much given you your accommodation options already. But essentially there's 3 main options for you. You can look at the on-campus residential colleges, and you can have a look at their websites and apply directly to them. I would encourage you to probably do that pretty soon though, because they tend to have quite a long application process. The other options that are available for you, as we've already covered, are the student approved suppliers. These are all purpose-built student styles of accommodation. There's a couple in St. Lucia, but then there's quite a few in South Bank and the city as well. The really awesome thing about this style of accommodation is that it's got a little bit of extra support for you, so that if it is your first time out of home, it can be a great sort of starting point for you. The other cool thing is that we inspect these properties and we have contracts with the organisation, so that we check with them regularly to make sure that everything's clean and safe and tidy for you, and that they have some really good social activities as well. The other option, and looks like the most common one with the survey, is private rental accommodation. So for those of you where budget might be a concern, or you're wanting a little bit more independence and freedom, then there's definitely plenty of rental accommodation around the area for you. I'd really encourage you to have a look at the accommodation website on student services. It has a range of information on the different accommodation options. We also have this really cool suburb guide. So if you're not familiar with Brisbane, you can have a look at the different suburbs and work out how long it will take you to travel to campus, as well as what some of the inclusions are. We have a dedicated accommodation team, so you can meet with an accommodation advisor when you get here. They also run workshops at the start of each semester, so that if you've never rented in Australia before, we strongly encourage you to go to one of those workshops so that you can understand a bit more about your rights and responsibilities when you're renting. In addition, we've also got some, I guess there's plenty of resources there that can also help. So if you're not sure where to go and you haven't arrived yet, you can send us an email or have a chat to us, and also have a look at our videos that we have online as well. The other thing, if it's okay, just to mention, is that we can also pick you up from the airport. Yeah. So it can be really daunting arriving in a new country and not sort of knowing how to get anywhere. So you can book airport reception. It's free for students. You just need to give us 3 days notice, and we can have someone meet you at the airport and take you to your front door of your accommodation, which I think is kind of a really nice, gentle arrival into Brisbane. So yeah, I think that's probably one of the main things to organise. If you are thinking about renting privately outside of the colleges or the preferred suppliers, we'd recommend that you come and inspect a few properties. Don't look for something online that's in the private rental market, because you need to inspect it and make sure it's suitable. And one thing that I saw a question pop up with the guaranteed accommodation, this is a scheme that we've introduced so that you can apply online. You can list a number of preferences from our approved student providers, and you can have an offer of accommodation made to you within 5 days. It's a really great way of, I guess, having a bit more support when you first arrive. You can apply online through our website. The application's open next week on the 4th of December, I believe, and they'll be open right through until the middle of January. So there's plenty of time for you to accept your offer and get everything ready. You can go online. We have links to all of our approved suppliers online so that you can have a look at their websites, compare their inclusions and their locations, and also their prices, because there is a good range of price points there as well. Okay.
And I guess I'll just add from experience in terms of accommodation. So when I came to Australia, I moved into private accommodation, and it was my first time abroad as well. So I didn't have a pleasant experience. I won't go into details. So I highly recommend that when you first arrive here, that you move into a student accommodation, so you can understand the culture and life here and the suburbs, because every suburb is different from another. So that's when you understand the culture and life here. Probably then afterwards you can probably move into a private accommodation.
And if you are looking for private rental, I'd encourage you to have a look at youre Rentals. It's our rental database that is managed by the accommodation team in student services. It has a range of different options. There's whole apartments or houses, as well as share houses. And you can have a look at the different listings and try and sort of go and look at a few and find one that suits you.
I would just add one of my experience. When I first came here, I know budget is probably a little bit of an issue for me to live in student accommodation. Yeah. So I decided to live in like rental houses. So what I did is that I went to Airbnb, or you could do a hotel. Just find a safe place to live for like a week or two, and then kind of inspect all the houses that you're interested in, so you can find the best one for you. Because you need to see the room, and you actually need to meet the owner, your housemate. They could all be potential problems there if you didn't see the house properly. So that's a way to do it if you're thinking about renting a house outside.
Or ideally, I'd recommend is probably find a house around St. Lucia, because most of students live there. So I think you'll end up living with students, because otherwise if you live away from St. Lucia, you probably end up with people, you know.
And did you know that Brisbane actually has one of the highest accommodation supply of Australia compared to other capital cities? Brisbane is one of the only cities with actually a surplus in student accommodation. So for those of you looking to study in Brisbane, you haven't got much worry, because you've got plenty of options. I know some other cities, it's got so bad that students actually have such a hard time looking for accommodation. So I highly recommend you consider Brisbane if you're looking for a place to study in Australia.
Yeah. Another question that we have here is that what if the student is moving here with his family, like his spouse or children? Can student services help with that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think when you're coming out with family members, it can make things a little bit more challenging. There's a lot more that you need to get organised and arranged. So I would definitely, you can come in and meet with one of us, one of the student advisor team, and we can help you not only with, I guess, some advice on accommodation, but also getting your children into school and childcare, making sure that they've got access to everything that they need. you'd probably be looking at a private rental, I think, if you were wanting to come out with family. And like I think that the guys have said here, it'd be really important to find somewhere temporary to begin with so that you can go and do some inspections. Because it won't just be about your needs, it's also about making sure that your family are comfortable and have everything that they need as well while you're studying. So I think have a look at UQ rentals, have a look at our resources online as well, and you can always contact us if you've got any particular questions or concerns.
This may not be, this might be something that's off track, because when you're coming with your family, because I used to rent one of my room to a family with a kid, and they definitely need kindergarten for the kids. We have kindergartens on campus, and they're all of really good quality. So if that's one of their concerns, they could consider that as well. Just jump back to student accommodation now.
Right. Speaking of coming with family, I know that sometimes we've got students who are under 18s coming to study in Australia for the first time as well. So that takes us to our next poll.
How old are you?
So the question is simple. Would you be under the age of 18 when you plan to commence your studies at UQ?
I'm so curious, actually.
Yeah, I think
I
18.
can-
Sounds like such a long time ago.
Because I actually see a lot of mature age students on campus.
Yeah. I started.
And they're great
Really?
asses. I love chatting to them. They're like, they all had work experience. So fun.
Okay.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense. Yeah.
Apparently, most of you would be over 18 when you come here, but just in case you know someone who's be under 18 when you get here, I think here at UQ we have an under 18 supervision program.
We do, yeah. And I think for any of you out there who are considering coming that are under the age of 18, if you're not coming out with a guardian, with someone like a parent or a relative who can live with you, the university can make those arrangements for you. We can organise guardianship, and then we have a weekly support program for you as well, where you'll meet with advisors so that we can make sure that you're safe and well, and you would be living in one of our student accommodation providers. So it is a really great start if you are thinking of coming out without family members.
That's definitely informative. I think there's actually a couple more questions on student life. And
Yeah.
what are some questions that we've got, Clara?
Yeah, so one question that we got a lot was with regards to the airport pickup. So a lot of people seem to be confused about how they can go about organising one. So could you just give us a brief introduction on that?
Absolutely. So once you have accepted your offer and you've gotten your confirmation of enrolment and you're ready to come, welcome for a start, you can then go on to the Student Services website, and there's a link to the airport reception service. You can just need to enter your flight details, and then that goes through to our provider, and they will pick you up at the airport any time of the day or night. The only day they don't run is Christmas Day, the 25th of December. So they will be there any other day that you arrive, and like I said, they'll pick you up and they'll take you to the front door of your accommodation. They will wait to make sure that you can get into your accommodation as well. So you've got that peace of mind that you'll get where you're going without getting lost your first time into Brisbane.
That's so nice, actually.
Yeah, it's a free service.
Yeah, I wish I knew about this.
Yeah, I know as well. So.
Yeah, so and we also got some other questions about student life on campus. So one of the questions was what happens during orientation week and what are the benefits of attending an orientation activity?
Actually, I would say for orientation week, we're getting a lot better now, and we're getting a really big orientation recently in the recent years. So basically, orientation week is 1 week time, or even before that, a lot of people would come in to join some of the jumpstart sessions to get around. But if you just come during the orientation week, there are a lot of performances. There will also be a club and society, kind of like a welcoming party. We call it, market day. So it's really like a market. On the whole Great Court area, there will be like more than 200 clubs having their stall there, talking to you about what they can offer. So you can see how your life could be in the next few years. If you see them, you'll be like, oh, there are so many things I could do. I really don't know which one to do first. And they're also regarding
Yeah, so if you will be living in a residential college, we'll have our own orientation activities as well, where you'll be introduced to our own sports or cultural events throughout the year, and you'll also be invited to multiple social activities where you get to meet other people living on campus as well.
And I think I have to point out about the advanced technology that UQ has, because I was studying at University of Indonesia and they didn't have the same technology that UQ offers. So such as you enroll your class online, but we have that. But like renting room for in the library, renting books and stuff like that, and it can be very useful. And then how you submit your assignments using Turnitin, it'll be all explained in the orientation week, and then it's like a mandatory for you to attend because you won't know if you don't attend that.
And orientation week will also be doing campus tours. So there will be a lot of tour guides bringing you around campus, showing you the secret spots. Yeah. Or showing you, actually telling you, how to choose your courses, a lot of the tricks in selecting courses, a lot of the tricks in, where you can find the best food and stuff like that.
How to open a bank account. So those are things.
And I think a lot of questions that students have includes, is orientation week compulsory, or do I have to join clubs and societies? Well, I know it's not really compulsory to be there for orientation week. I think that sets you up for success for the rest of the time at UQ. Some of the first friends you make, and possibly friends for life, are people that start off joining the same clubs and societies with you. And you can join as many or as little as you want with the clubs or societies. Some of us have just one, some have got 5 or 6. It all depends on how you choose to juggle it with your assessments, your studying. So make the most or make as little as you want out of it. But basically, it's your time. It's the best time of your life. So customize it and take ownership of your time in university.
Yeah. So another question we have is sort of related to that. So there was a question from Amy asking if there were any clubs or societies focused on postgrad students. So as we just mentioned, like pretty much everyone can find their own niche at UQ. So different schools and different faculties will have various different societies. Some are specific to postgraduate students, some are specific to undergraduate students. But either way, you'll be able to find someone here who you can socialize with.
There is one postgrad study covering all students, I'm pretty sure.
Right,
The UQ Union runs an association of postgrad students, right?
And they recently had a board party, so they are very, they're on campus.
I think if you're doing business, the business, economics, and law faculty has its own society for postgrad students as well. So some of the faculties have specialized programs for postgrad students, because we know how with research, with intense studying, it makes it a bit harder for postgrad students to be as committed to student life compared to undergrad students. So these are just some of the ways that UQ has gone out to make it easier for postgrad students to get more involved as well.
Yeah, and I think it's really good because, like for me in the Geological Society, we have postgrad and undergrad students, and that's also helpful because we can share ideas and the undergrads can learn so much from postgrads. So I think that's really good.
Yeah, I would just like to add one piece to this whole conversation. Because UQ has a lot of clubs and societies, and there's also another side which is UQ Union. So both of them functions differently. Clubs and societies are basically interest groups, cultural groups, so you can definitely find a lot of things that you feel that you belong to. You can find your identity there. And then there are also UQ Union, which kind of fills the gap, because there is queer group, there's international group, there is postgraduate group, there are a lot of women's and sexuality group. So those are bigger umbrellas that kind of governs a lot of these clubs and societies or works with them, so that you will always be catered to and always be included in some way.
Yeah. So I think, not sure if we have mentioned this, but UQ has multiple campuses as well. So Catherine, would you like to give us a brief introduction?
Sure. So St. Lucia, I guess, is kind of our big hub, but then we've also got the Hurston campus, which is just outside of Brisbane city centre, and we have our Gatton campus, which is about 90 minutes away in the country. And I guess we have very similar services at those campuses as well. So if you are going to be based at Gatton, your accommodation options might be a little bit different to what they would be in Brisbane. there's the halls of residence, which are university-run on-campus accommodation. And then there's also your off-campus accommodation there as well. We do have a student services, and there's a union presence out there as well. So there are clubs and societies available. And because it's a smaller campus, it tends to be everybody sort of knows everybody, and it can be quite a really nice community feel out there. We also have our Hurston campus, which is based in near one of the big hospitals. We have a student services presence there as well, so that if you need any support. And accommodation options there are pretty good. It's pretty close to the city centre. You can access the student accommodation providers and private rental as well. And there's really good public transport. I think with Gatton, you possibly need to be a little bit more organised with your commute sometimes, because public transport is a bit limited. But there is a free bus service for students going from the Gatton campus into St Lucia every day of the working week, which is a really great service. Lots of staff use it. I know when we have to go to Gatton.
Yeah. So just going back to the student life on campus, one of the questions we got is, are there any sports teams on campus? I'm not sure if...
Well, I like that. I actually play for a sports team. I actually play cricket for UQ's medicine team, though I'm studying engineering, but I play cricket with medicine team. So I think there are loads of sports clubs, and most of all, there's facilities in UQ. You name your sport, and there's a facility at UQ. There's a squash court, there's a tennis court, there's a basketball court. Wherever you want to play, there's space for it. And we have, I think, 2 cricket fields as well, 1 hockey field as well, which was recently built, which is, I think, in Transition. And then we have swimming pool as well, which is in Transition. And also we have a fitness center. So if you want to go to the gym, or you want to attend fitness classes, or play indoor sports as well, there are spaces for that. So our UQ covers, I think, pretty much all the sports-related stuff.
And I would say some of the colleges have the best sports teams, because they actually compete with one another and join nationals sometimes. So I do know a few teams that are really good. Yeah, and I've seen them competing. Those girls are no kidding.
I know that with sport, some of you might be worried like, oh, I don't actually play a sport, but I'm just keen to check it out. Well, with most of the sports on offer at UQ, you have the option of either playing it competitively, that's actually representing the university and going for competitions, things like that, or if you're just thinking of taking up a new sport, trying something new, you can play it at a social level as well. And once you think you've gotten really good at it, you can always go and join the competitive league. So there's many options for everyone. I would say come to UQ and find something that suits you.
Yeah, it's certainly huge spaces for you to play sports. I think that's the most important thing as well.
Yeah, and if you just want to exercise on your own, we have a lot of sports facilities on campus. For example, we have a gym, and we also have a big swimming pool.
Yeah.
And detail on those sports facilities can be found on their website.
And the best part is, even if you want to just hang out with your friends and have a kick of a soccer ball in a park, there's amazing parks all around Brisbane. You can just go there, play for free. It's really good.
I'll just add a few examples of the sports that I've done with UQ. I've done surfing, I've done diving, and I'm also doing boxing right now. So tomorrow there's one session, so I really enjoyed it.
And there's clubs for all these sports as well. There's a rowing club, there's a surfing club. So whatever your sport you play, there's a club for it, and you can join people who play these sports.
Exactly.
Great. I think we've actually provided quite an oversight into all that UQ has to offer in terms of student life. And if you've got any more questions, feel free to keep them coming. Otherwise, you can always write to us. And with that, we'll now have our next poll before moving on to our next session on careers and employability.
So the question is simple again. So when do you plan to commence your studies at UQ? Just choose the semester that you think that you'll be studying your studies here.
Now we know that careers and employability is actually a really big thing. So Clara, could you share with us what are some of the topics that international students are most interested in?
I believe a lot of international students are interested in volunteering. So could one of them introduce
right now? And I'm so confused. So basically, you can find any kind of volunteering around Brisbane, around campus, everywhere. I once found my volunteering and enrolled from just like advertisement on Facebook. Actually, yeah, it was the Starlight Children Foundation. And But aside from that, so most of the volunteering were temporary, just like per event. Or you can also do like the routine, the weekly one. I'm currently doing videographing for Airspace A Queensland. It's an animal welfare organizations where you work with dogs, cats, any kinds of animals, and it's just very interesting. Aside from that, they have also volunteering roles that you need to apply for it because it has lots and lots of advantages, such as the Brisbane International Student Ambassador. And also, I'm currently become the One Girl Ambassador, is an NGO. So from there, it's it's more difficult to get because you compete with other people to get in, and then also it has lots of advantages such as again networking, and then you get to find new friends from all over the world. You can also get a professional experience, such as me recently. I was just appointed as the Indonesian interpreter for Asia Pacific Screen Awards. It's like under the Oscar.
So basically, you so advanced that things move
yeah, it's
automatically.
basically
Yeah.
I go through a lot of volunteering to get into that. Yeah, how about the other?
Yeah, I also volunteered for Australian Red Cross, and I worked in their retail store. Basically, people donate their old clothes and stuff, and we basically refurbish it or clean it and sell it. And that was for Australian Red Cross. Otherwise, on UQ's, in UQ's, well, we have a few societies which are doing with volunteering. There's the Australian Red Cross Society on UQ. Also, there's Oxfam, and there's a few others as well which can you can join, and they can guide you in terms of how to contribute to the local community here.
Yeah, and even if you want to actually do some volunteering related to your subject, you can also do that and get hands-on experience with what you want to do. So for me, at the moment, I've just got an opportunity to volunteer at the Queensland Museum. And so we're going to look at a lot of cool rocks and stuff like that, which is what I love.
Just to let you guys know what are some of the school supports regarding volunteers. One is that we actually have an annual volunteer expo. So there will be a lot of organizations, more than 40 or 50, coming into UQ in the expo and telling you guys about what they're doing and wanting to get you on board. So that's one of the opportunities you can catch when you join UQ. Another one would be UQ Advantage. It's called UQ Employability Center. So they have this Advantage Award, and under the award, there are a lot of volunteering work you could be doing.
All right, so I think we've talked quite a fair bit on volunteering, but as we all know, volunteering is just one aspect of employability or towards the journey of getting a good job. And for those of you sharp eye viewers out there, you might notice I've got someone new next to me. Now, I have the pleasure today of having Lawrence Casey, who is a careers and employability advisor at UQ, to come talk to us about the kinds of services that UQ offers to help students get an edge up in becoming employed upon graduation. So, Lawrence, could you tell us what is it that you do, please?
Yep. Okay. So part of what our service is, we work across the entire university. So we work across pretty much every single faculty. So wherever you end up, you'll potentially see me around. I do a lot of work with the faculty as well, but our core services are, I guess, student-centric. So you can come and see us one-on-one. So we have an appointment system. You can get 6 appointments per year, and you can use those appointments whoever you would like. The one thing that we do ask students is that the questions that you are asking us are around careers rather than just part-time work. You are able to access the UQ Union for part-time work if that's what you're looking for. However, we focus more on, I guess, the career side of things and the end goal of your studies. So you've got 6 appointments per year. We also offer workshops throughout the year as well, particularly in the start of the semesters. There are a lot more workshops, just that's when students are incredibly motivated and want to come in and see us at the start of each semester. So those workshops range from applications and cover letters and resumes to interviewing skills, which is, I think, one of the big things that many students don't think about until the end of their graduation. It's important to kind of nail those skills, I think, early on in your study career. Also looking at networking, which I think, particularly for international students, is something that you really should focus on while you're here, because I think it's really important to try and connect to industry as soon as possible. So we actually provide workshops on, I guess, how to make that easier for you. and also looking at graduate programs, which is, I think, a kind of a big deal in Australia, where a lot of grads go for graduate programs at the end of the year, and the recruitment processes are very different in those particular opportunities than regular recruitment that you would generally go through as well. So that's, I guess, our core services. We then also, I personally do a lot of work with faculty. So wherever you end up, you probably will see me again somewhere along the way. I do a lot of specific work, particularly for the humanities, and now a lot in the biological sciences and that sort of area as well. And a lot of that is specific to industry. So rather than coming to our general workshops, I go out to faculty and give you advice on how to connect with your particular industry, and how to make that transition from university to work a bit easier. We also offer, it was mentioned earlier, the Volunteer Expo, which I would 100% almost expect you to attend. It's one of those things that I think, particularly for international students, but also for domestic students, getting that initial experience can be quite difficult. And the good thing about that the Volunteer Expo is we do have, I think this year we had close to 50 or 60 organisations. And we have about 3,000 students through, I think, this year. The good thing about that is it's not just your one-off volunteering where it may not build a lot of professional skills. You can actually ask them, so suggesting that you're a marketing student, every organisation will have a marketing department. So I would encourage you to come to that and say, look, I'm an accountancy student, I'm a marketing student, can I do some work within your marketing department? So that's a brilliant opportunity as well. We do look after one of the biggest careers fairs organised by a university in Australia. So this year, I think we had, it was 110 employers, and that, I think we had 5,500 students through that day. And again, awesome opportunity to network with Australian-based employers. You will find that recruitment practices and, I guess, employer expectations will differ here as in from your home country. So it's a good opportunity then to link with employers as well. And then throughout the year, particularly at the start of each semester, we have employers on campus. So they are purely wanting to meet you and meet our students, talk about their recruitment practices, what they look for, how to negotiate their recruitment process, because some of them are quite computer-based and digital these days, where everything is online. You don't actually get to see a real person until the very end of the recruitment cycle. So it gives you a good grounding as to, I guess, expectations here. And I'm just thinking whether I've missed anything. I think that's pretty much, yeah, that's pretty much ready.
Yeah, so we have a question here about whether UQ is able to assist the student in finding working opportunities overseas.
So we do have access to a graduate portal called Global Grad. And it's something that's really taken off in like the last 6 months, I believe. So it's an online portal that's designed for Australian domestic students, but also international students wanting to go back home or travel. And I think as of today, I think there was Facebook, Yahoo. They all have graduate roles and graduate opportunities now advertised as well. I would suggest that pretty much every organisation that registers on that is an international brand or an international company. So you won't find small, tiny providers. They're usually big name organisations that are looking for graduates.
Yeah, thank you. So another question that we got is probably more for the student ambassadors is what kind of part-time jobs do you guys have here, and how did you go about finding those jobs?
Part-time jobs.
There is a career hub. It's on the UQ's website. You can join basically, and you can find part-time work and professional roles there. And otherwise, there are some Facebook pages and also websites like Gumtree and Seek.com and a couple of career one as well. So you can go on there and look. Yeah, lots of these sites online, and you can look up what kind of job you're looking for and the ads for jobs, and sometimes also it's advertised in the store as well, so you can probably, if you're roaming around in there. What I used to do was I used to carry my resumes in my bag, so if I'm going to the mall and I see there's some job they're looking for someone, I just go in there and hand my resume. So that's one way to do it.
I think, well, just to add to that as well, most of the time, if you're looking for part-time jobs when you are here, the way that we generally do it is it's all based on personality and the way that you engage. So therefore, I would always encourage, if you are looking for part-time work, is to go in and chat to the managers of the organisations. Very rarely will you find part-time jobs advertised online. In terms of the seat.com, which is the major Australian website that most would use. Part-time jobs, not so much advertised on that anymore. Generally speaking, if a shop is wanting to employ someone, you can walk in there and have a chat to the manager. It's really based on your confidence, the way that you articulate and communicate with that employer as well. Because most of the time, the part-time jobs, it's based on your personality, not any technical skill that you may have. It's really based on how you engage with employers.
Yeah, I think from experience, actually, I thought of a job like that. I just walked in might attend, it's a hardware store, and there wasn't any job advertised. I just went and met the manager and I got the job, just like that.
I would make one, recommendation. Just now you mentioned about the Career Hub website.
Yeah.
So basically on that website, if you're looking for a part-time job just to get a little bit of extra cash, then that's probably the case. It's your personality that wins everything. But if you're looking for something that's relevant to what you're doing, and it's a short period of intern or part-time, or even a casual job to just help out with a certain project, Career Hub is a good choice, as you can filter the choices that opens for all international students. You have the filter, and then you can also filter out the interest points, like just a keyword to know what are relevant to what you're studying, and then you will be able to find a lot of the part-times. Because Career Hubs is all basically, I would say, more than 60% of part-time.
Yeah,
it's pretty good.
Yeah, and that's a website that we actually administer. So it goes through I guess a referral process, and we go through it with a bit of a fine-tooth comb in terms of making sure that the jobs that are advertised on that are legitimate roles. So everything on that, if you go to Gumtree, sometimes you will find that they're cash-in-hand jobs, which many students do, but obviously you're not paying tax with those sorts of jobs. Yeah, exactly right. So I wouldn't suggest you go to someone's home for a job interview. I'd make sure it's a genuine business. But in terms of that, with the Career Hub, every job on that will be a legitimate role. And quite often, and what I would suggest as well, is don't just send in an application or a cover letter. Always call. It really pays to call and build a bit of a relationship, even with part-time work. Because a lot of it is based on the way that you engage with people and the public as well.
And since we're talking about jobs, I just wanted to say that it's not only that you have to try, obviously you have to go and try and apply outside, but there's a lot of stuff that the university can give you. And for me, I've been fortunate enough to have around 3 jobs at uni. So one of them is what all of us are, international ambassadors. So we get to give talks and tours to new students and their families. Pretty exciting job, get to share experiences with everyone, like we are now. And another job that I'm doing is I'm a UQ Pass leader, which is a peer assisted study section leader. Basically, I teach geology to first years, and also I have a summer research scholarship at the moment, so I'm getting paid to do research for the uni. So a lot of stuff that the uni can give you too.
But we have to be smart for that, right? So.
I think speaking of being smart, there are a few things that international students need to look out for as well when trying to get a casual job while studying in Australia. I think for starters, it's important to know that we can only work a maximum of 40 hours a fortnight or 20 hours a week. So that's definitely something that you need to look out for, because it is a condition of your student visa. And I know that we mentioned exploitation as well. You know that Australia has a minimum wage for most jobs. And if you go to the Fair Work Ombudsman website, you can actually search for the occupation that you're applying for to find out what should be the minimum wage that your employer should be paying you.
So we also had some other students asking questions about networking opportunities on campus. So as Lauren said, they organize workshops that teach you tips and techniques on how to network. I actually personally went to one of his workshops recently, and it's very, very enlightening actually. I know as international students, we can be quite scared of, socializing with people here, but definitely go to those workshops. They will definitely help you with networking skills.
Yeah, and I think it really helps gain a bit of confidence as well. And I think that's what, if you are planning to start a life in Australia, where a lot of international students want to stay here, which is fine. It's really important that you do get involved as soon as you get here. With employers, they want to see that you're committed to staying. So in terms of that, you can't really show that commitment unless you're actually getting involved, doing some volunteer work, working in a part-time job, those sorts of things. You don't want to get to the end of your degree and want to stay in Australia and not have had any experiences while you've been here as well. So it's really important that part-time work, jobs, student societies, clubs. I know that there's a lot of international students that work quite heavily with the student associations. You know, if you hold down management roles in the student associations, whether it be treasurers and events organisers, those sorts of things, that all adds to your skills and adds to, I guess, your resume when you go looking for professional work as well.
And also, I think just networking when you go to class with your lecturer, because those people are like, in our university, they're all at the top of their fields, leading in their research. And so if you get to know them, I know so many people who've got jobs through researchers themselves.
And faculties actually organize some of these networking nights as well.
Yeah.
So it's a good way to network with your fellow professors and people from your fellow tiers, I guess.
There is another organization called, well, it's kind of like the brothers, Idea Hub and Idea Lab. They're the business incubator of UQ. So they actually provide a lot of networking sessions with a lot of startups. So if you want to practice your skill, be an all-rounder and join a startup, that's one of the best way to do it. And you will get a lot of exposure. Because when you go to a company, a mature company, usually you will be working in one department. But if you go to a startup, you're basically, they use it for everything. And that's a really good practice if you're not, you know, scared of all the challenges.
So that's actually on right now. I'm actually looking at the building across the way from us, and they actually have a Germinate program happening at the moment, but also a pitch day where people that are interested in working for startups, that they're having a chat to people that own the startups, and are then looking at providing students with opportunity. So it's something that you don't just need to be a tech or an IT freak. You can be sort of in a business degree or whatever. And they will actually then looking at recruiting people for startups, which again is another awesome way to get experience while you're at uni as well.
Yeah. Another question that we had was, is there any job or part-time job opportunities on campus for postgraduate students or undergraduate students? And as Shane has mentioned, undergraduate students can actually work as a peer assistant tutor in the classes, and also postgraduate students can sometimes be hired as tutors in practical classes as well. Another question that we have was, actually, I think we have answered most.
Adding to that, we have some shops on campus as well, like some outlets, food outlets, and some other services we can apply as well.
You need to remember that UQ, we have potentially 65,000 students here, so it's like a small city. So we have all of the amenities, all the shops that I guess you would need. So quite often at the end, and this time of the year is a good time to be looking for part-time jobs because students are graduating and leaving their part-time jobs. So quite often there's a bit of a drive at the moment to get jobs on campus, even just working at the cafes and all those sorts of things as well. Yeah.
And mind you, UK has like probably 15 cafes on
campus.
Plenty of coffee.
I would say for postgraduate, because I know a lot of people, because my office is right beside APS, so a lot of postgraduate students actually, you know, come over and ask for like career advices. So a lot of them would be encouraged to network with their lecturers. Like Sean just said, it's really important to talk to your lecturers if you're thinking about doing research in the future. They're the best people you can approach. And usually they have a lot of projects going on and they're desperately looking for assistance. It's just that they never know you would be interested or not. And if you ask, they might have something in mind. That's the easiest way to go. And then
and I think it's really important that if you're trying to look for a job while you're studying, it's good to know that you shouldn't actually be relying on that job to pay for your expenses or to pay for your fees in Australia, just because the cost of living here can sometimes be on the high side. So it's really important that you budget for all your needs, all your expenses prior to coming to Australia, and not rely on getting a job in Australia to meet those costs of living, just because you never know whether you could actually land a job or not. It's better to be on the safe side with everything properly budgeted for before you come over.
And as a recommendation, I'd say, like, especially in the first semester, don't look for part-time jobs. Like, use the first semester's time to basically settle in, understand your study load. Sometimes I've seen people, they come in and they don't realize how hard the studies are, and they get into a part-time job and they struggle in keeping up their studies. So it's important that the first semester that you come to your uni is not to look for part-time opportunities.
A good way to budget is to buy a bicycle, because the public transport here is quite expensive as well. I myself ride a bike to work for that exact reason. So a great way to save some money is buy a push bike instead.
It's eco-friendly as well. So.
Yeah, another question that we had was, what do you do when you have some difficulties in your personal life or study life? So first of all, I think UQ Union and Student Services provide some help and assistance on like your studies and also legal issues, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, what others?
So for UQ Union, there are basically 6 areas where they provide support with. Employability would be one part. They actually provide like mock interview sessions. So if you got a job and then they offered you an interview, you can go to them and say, this is the company, I have all the emails, with them. So help me to analyze who they are and how do I behave in the interview. So they try to mock the interview with you. That's really interesting. And they also do legal support. So you can have free legal advice up to a certain limit. I can't remember how many times a year, but you probably wouldn't need that many anyway. But that's one of the best in Australia because not a lot of schools actually offer this kind of services. Legal services can be really expensive.
Yeah.
And a lot of other support would be health support. There are dentists, there is a clinic, there's also physiotherapy. We also have like mental support. We have a lot of counseling sessions. There are 6 counseling sessions free for every student every semester. So if you're feeling stressed out, that's the best place to go. Just talk to a doctor. Just like how you go to a clinic, go to a mental clinic, it's the same thing. To take care of yourselves.
Yeah, and they have workshops as well. So if you, there are basically workshops to help you deal with your stress. Sometimes it's too much, and there are workshops to give you ideas in terms of how to handle stress, and also there are workshops in terms of managing your study load. So there's all these ranges of workshop you can go to, and they're all free, and you can look up which workshop suits you, and you can join it for free and see.
Yeah, that's with student service, and they get a timetable for the whole semester of all their workshops. Do check that out. Another thing I would actually like to mention is about different minority groups, like abilities group. So we do have a group that takes care of people with a little bit of difficulties. And then there's also queer collective and women's collective. So a lot of the minority groups could be taken good care of if you need any support. If you actually need a little bit of monetary support, Union also offers a little bit of bursary for people who indeed in need, okay? So that's good.
Yeah, and if you need support, say outside of UQ, or you may not feel as comfortable utilizing an in-house support in UQ, for international students, there's always a Brisbane student hub located at South Bank. You can simply pop in anytime during the week, have a chat with one of the case management counselors there, and they are more than happy to chat with you. The Queensland government has also set up a 1-800-Q study hotline for international students, and that's for international students across the state. If you are facing difficulties or you need assistance in any way, you just have to ring that number. It's available 24/7, so someone will be on hand to talk to you, to work with you to find the help that you need.
All right, we apologise if we haven't been able to get to your questions today, but we'll definitely get to answer your questions directly into your emails. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, and we've now come to the end of today's webinar. Should you have any further questions, please feel free to write to us or go to our website at www.future-students.uq.edu.au. And with that, here's wishing you all the best with your applications, and we hope to see you soon on campus. Bye.
Bye.